I am beating every N64 game, and I mean all of them. The twist is, the next game I play is randomly selected, so I have no clue what's coming next. This is the journey to beating every N64 game. Game number 58, CyberTiger. Released in 2000 for the N64, this game was developed and published by Electronic Arts. I'd absolutely never heard of this one before, and when I drew it, I thought it might be some kind of robot game. That couldn't be further off though. It's actually a golf game, with the tiger referring to Tiger Woods. I guess this might have been what led to the Tiger Woods PGA series of games. This is also the first time we've drawn a golf game. The only one I know is Mario Golf, but there's definitely others on the console. I really didn't know what mode would be the best for beating this game, so I decided to check out the Tiger Challenge first. There's a bunch of characters to choose from with different skins for each. There's Tiger, Omira, Mia, Billy, Lil Tiger, Lil Mark, Chip, and Inga. Quite the strange roster. I went with Lil Tiger cause come on, how you resist? The game then cuts straight to the action on the golf course. It shows an inventory with a bunch of weird little pictures, which I'll get into later. The way you swing's quite intuitive. You just aim your shot with the joystick and then pull the stick back and flick it forward to hit the ball. While it's in the air, you can adjust the spin using the joystick. Putting is essentially the same as driving with the stick movement. I got a bogey and Inga got a par. This is where I learned what the Tiger Challenge actually is. It's just a 1 vs 1 battle mode where whoever wins the hole gets to choose a club the other player's no longer allowed to use. So essentially it's just a little mini-game type thing, not what we want to beat this game. On the next hole I decided to try out one of the power-ups. I went for the one that looked like a rocket, and my god, the ball gets launched insanely far from using this one. Need to get a hole-in-one on a par 5? This is what you want. It was at this point in the playthrough I decided it's probably a good idea to look at the manual because I couldn't figure out how to aim your shot more precisely than just the direction it goes. This is where I found out about the free cam mode, and at the bottom it said I could press B to go back and A to head pump? What the heck is that? Every time I pressed A I heard a coughing noise. And then I realized what was going on. It was making my character's head grow in size every time I pressed it. It's kind of like a built-in customizable big head mode. I absolutely love that they put this feature in. It's silly, it's unnecessary, but man, it's fun. Seeing as this mode wasn't relevant to beating the game, I quit out and went to the main thing we need to do, the tournament mode. From what it seems, the PlayStation version has a full-on career mode, but on the N64 it doesn't exist, so tournament is the best we've got. The tournament mode is how you'd expect it to be in a golf game. We play through a massive gauntlet of 72 holes, trying to get a lower score than everyone else in the tourney. On my first drive, I got a shot well above 100% power, and it showed the ball have a propeller above it. I believe this doesn't actually change the shot, it's just a special animation for when you get a really powerful drive. Then I was in position on the green for an easy putt to get birdie on hole 1. If you get below par, you earn one new random power-up to use later on. On hole 2, I decided to use one of those missile power-ups, and man, this one was even more insane. Just a casual 445-yard drive off the tee. No big deal, you know? I was now in position for an eagle on a fairly long putt. I went for the max power and it was nowhere near the hole. Then on the next putt I did max power again and still it was quite short of the hole. I really wasn't sure why the putts weren't going very far. With the only golf game I'd played really being Mario Golf, this just didn't make sense. I got a bogey on hole 3 and par on hole 4 and saw someone was at a -12 and I knew I had no chance, so I reset. Later on I had a drive that looked like it shouldn't have gone super far, but the ball turned into an airplane and flew into the water. I'm still not actually sure if that changes how your shot goes, or maybe I just hit it too hard, I don't know. Getting a ball in the water in golf is like the worst case scenario because you lose one stroke and you have to hit it from a bad position as well. On the next hole I finally figured out what was wrong with putting. The default distance it usually gives you is just too short. There's a fine-tune mode where you can adjust where you want the putt to end up, and this allows you to add more power to it. With this, I finally felt like I could reliably get under par. With this new knowledge at hand, I felt like I was ready to go for a win. I reset and got a birdie on hole 1. Then on hole 2, I used the missile power to launch it nearly 400 yards, and then I had an easy eagle putt. -3 score after 2 holes, heck yeah. If you don't know, golf scored a bit differently in that you want to get the lowest score possible to win. On hole 3, there were 2 big ponds in the way of the optimal path. So I used another power up, the skipping stone. This turns the ball into a flat rock so it'll bounce off the water, allowing you to treat it as if it were just normal ground. I really like how they included all these power-ups in the game. It definitely adds more to the experience of it being a video game rather than some realistic sports simulator. Along with power-ups, there's some unique animations too. I was looking over to read the manual and Lil Tiger just started standing on the tip of his club. I guess he was bored or something? That was another cool little unneeded thing they added in. It gives the game character. A few holes later, I got my first chip in, which is always hype. Oh, get in there, let's go. Sweet shot. It's such an unlikely thing to hit, so they always feel great, especially when it's from really far away. Then on hole 8, I nailed a super long putt for a birdie, which also feels great to do. The game was pretty easy from this point on, especially with the power-ups being a thing too. At 9 holes, I was at a -8, sitting in 2nd place overall. Pretty solid. The music in this game, it's okay. It's basically just some looping 90s sounding hip-hop type beat. I don't really know how else to describe it. Like, it's not bad, but it's really repetitive and just kind of bland. Another power-up I earned is the wind shot. Basically, the ball turns into some crazy looking spy plane thing, and no matter how the wind is blowing, the ball will be hit as if there's no wind. Then there's the accuracy power-up. The ball turns into a dart, and it'll be hit exactly where you aim it. I think there's about 9 different ones in total. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's just golf. There's a few more power-ups that I never received. The asteroid, which causes the ball to bounce, the saw blade that cuts through trees, the spinner that lets you spin much more than usual, and there's a mystery ball, which just gives you a random power-up. I'm not sure why you would want that. I had pulled ahead of the competition quite a bit here, but there were 72 holes to get through, so you know, I just kept golfing. Usually got par at a minimum, rarely got a bogey, and usually got birdie. It would be nice if the environment changed, but it's just always this desert environment the entire time. Finally, I had reached the last hole and sank the putt. It shows big text saying winner, and Lil Tiger apparently won over $2 million. Wow, that's not bad, honestly. I finished with a final score of -26. Pretty solid. After finishing the tourney, I checked some of the other modes. Most are just other ways to play regular old golf, but there is a driving range. Here you just practice hitting the ball off the tee, and there's some things for you to aim for, like targets, a submarine, and of course that little cart going around picking up the balls. It doesn't really do anything if you hit any of these features though. I was hoping like the submarine would explode when I hit it, but it just didn't do anything. Kinda disappointing. The other interesting mode is Battle Mode. This is a multiplayer game where you try to launch the ball to where the other player is teeing off from. When you do, they literally explode. Like, come on man, where was this in the driving range? I get to see the other golfer explode, which is cool, but man, I want to see that submarine blow up. But yeah, that's about it. Game complete. So yeah, there you have it, my journey to beating CyberTiger. I was not expecting a golf game when I drew this, just based off the name, and I might have been happier if it was a robot game. This game feels like a mix of a realistic golfing sim with some arcade elements. The power-ups were cool, but the game is kind of bland otherwise. The music's repetitive, the environment never changes, and it controls worse than something like Mario Golf. It probably would have been a cool game back in the day if you didn't know about Mario Golf, but just knowing that's out there, it makes this feel not great. I gave it a 4 out of 10 for enjoyability as it was kinda decent. I appreciated some of the fun features they threw in, and a 3 out of 10 for difficulty because it was tough to get used to how it worked, but once I did, it was really easy. But yeah, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you did enjoy the video, consider giving it a like, as it does help the channel a lot. And if you like this series, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one. But yeah, thanks for watching, and here's a sneak peek at what is coming next. So 333 games on the list. Could be any of them. Let's see what we get. 3, 2, 1, go. 302. We are playing Transformers Beast Wars Transmetals.